guide through the shadowy world of the mimics of man. Are you ready to question everything you thought you knew about reality? Because tonight, we have two paranormal experts with us who will share their spine-chilling insight on the existence of beings that look like humans but are not. Get ready to buckle up and hold on tight as we delve deep into the history and influence of these mysterious creatures on our culture and society. Our guests are no strangers to the paranormal world, with years of experience in investigating and researching the unknown. Throughout the interview, we'll explore the possibility that these mimics may come from other planets, dimensions, or even our own past or future. We'll examine the characteristics and intentions of these beings, and whether they are benevolent, malevolent, or simply curious. However, we must caution you that the information our guests will reveal may challenge your understanding of reality. They will share intriguing insights that will leave you wondering about the true nature of these beings. You may even find questioning the very fabric of your own existence. This is a conversation that will stimulate your curiosity and open your mind to new possibilities. So stay with us and don't go anywhere. This is a discussion you won't want to miss. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Tim Swartz is an Emmy Award-winning television producer, videographer, and co-host of the Paracast. He has investigated paranormal phenomena in locations such as the Great Pyramid in Egypt and the Great Wall in China. He has also written for magazines such as Fate, Strange, and Atlantis Rising, and authored the book Mimics, The Others Among Us. And Paul Dale Roberts is a Fortean investigator who explores all things paranormal, including the Mothman, Chupacabra, UFOs, crop circles, ghosts, poltergeists, demons, and more. He is the HPI owner and has written for publications such as Newsweek, Time, and National Geographic Traveler. He has also authored several books in the HPI Chronicles series and has been featured on television shows such as the Tesla Files, Ancient Aliens, and also the Paracast. And to tell us more about mimics, the others among us, I'd like to welcome Tim Swartz and Paul Dale Roberts. Hello, gentlemen, and welcome to Veritas.
Thank you, Mel.
Hi. Yep, thank you, Mel. I appreciate you having us on today.
My pleasure. Well, as I was mentioning to you, as I was reading the book, you really took me down memory lane, first with Tim Beckley. Rest in peace. I don't know if I never interviewed him, but I knew him. In fact, one of the very few people who filmed a private presentation I made almost 15 years ago was Tim. I approached him at the end of my presentation, and I asked him, were you filming? And he said, the whole thing. And I loved it. And I have no idea what he did with that footage, but that was my first interaction of many. Then, as I'm reading the book, I remember Mac Tony's and the Crypto-Terrestrials. That was the first time I became exposed to the concept of crypto-humans, or as you call it, Tim, mimics. And sadly, Mac died at the age of 34 in 2009. But tell us, what is mimics?
Oh yeah, that's really a loaded question there, Mel, because as I have done other shows talking about this subject, I realize that it's so complicated that it can be really difficult to convey the proper idea out there to listeners. But I think the main focus of mimics is that if you look throughout paranormal history, or even just history, you'll find that humans have been interacting with beings that look human, act human, but probably aren't. Now, good examples would be people used to think that, they were seeing gods, angels, demons in human form. The fairy stories, you have fairies and brownies, the good people, as they were called. And up into modern times with the alleged extraterrestrials seen coming out of flying saucers, or the Men in Black, Black-Eyed Kids, the Slender Man, all of these things are part of what we're considering to be mimics of man. What their sources, and there could be all kinds of different sources. As you said at the beginning of this program, extraterrestrials, paranormal entities from other dimensions, time travelers, creatures that evolved on the planet right alongside of us, maybe with a similar heritage, like a cousin species that have managed to remain hidden from us, probably deliberately for all this time. We don't really know. That's what this book is about. We're trying to draw in all of these different cases to try to find like a unified field theory to see what it is that has been with us all this time that looks so much like us, but obviously is not.
What's your take on this, Paul?
And another thing with the mimics is that they love to imitate man or people by using their voice or appearing as them. Like one case that I had right here in Sacramento, the lady's name was Rosie and her daughter, and they were tormented by a demon. And this demon would take on the appearance of either Rosie or her daughter. So, like in one situation, she heard all kinds of noise in the bedroom, things were crashing down and everything else, and she went into the bedroom to see her daughter. And she goes, "Why are you destroying this place?" And her daughter just vanishes. And then she sees that her daughter was actually outside. So it was mimicking the daughter. And then the daughter saw Rosie, but it was Rosie the demon, because it wasn't really Rosie. So they were just being tormented, and it's just amazing how many different type of entities will mimic man or just people in general. So the book is really fascinating because it covers so many type of entities. Your shapeshifters, your selkies, your fairies, your tulpas, and everything else. So yeah, it's an amazing book. And anybody who's getting into the paranormal field, I really suggest this is a book for your library. This is something that you can pick up and go, hey, what did I just encounter here? And you find the information right in this book.
And if you have to be practical, I mean, in history, we know of giants. We know of the Homo florensis. Well, I believe that's how you pronounce it. The little people in Indonesia. We have the Denisovans. I'm not sure exactly how you pronounce that word. But we have different types of humanoids in the past. So why couldn't these be around? I mean, we have the chameleon right now that can morph into whatever. So what if we have a different type of species, especially when we have so much unexplored on this planet? What is it? 70 or 80% of the ocean is unexplored. What about other territories that may have, some of these people inhabit and they come visit once every so often?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you have like a situation, and this is also too mentioned in the Mimics book. Like over in the Canary Islands, this couple was at this lover's lane, and all of a sudden they ran into these imps. They had olive green skin and red eyes. They also too sounded like humans. So they would hear this conversation going on, and they were walking over to that area, exploring it, trying to find out who this other couple was, only to encounter these crazy looking imps, and it was very frightening for them.
I should say, however, go ahead, Mel.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that the story that Paul just described, the one factor, and that's the factor that we've included with all of these stories, is that despite some unearthly characteristics, like Paul said, green skin, red eyes, there's still that humanoid feature to them. 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 eyes. And that's one of the questions that we pose in this book is, why is this humanoid shape so prevalent. The Earth has all kinds of different life forms. Again, why human? Deliberate? Were they born that looking like that? Are some of them shapeshifters? Those are the big questions that we're wanting to know.
I never forget, years ago, I used to explore caves, and I remember in Puerto Rico years ago, did it a few times, but when inside a cave, you had to take a boat under the cave after 30 minutes of going under, pitch black. And I never forget, I asked the people who were going to organize it, and I said, can we all turn our lights off just for a minute, just to see what's around us? And I cannot believe all the things that we saw. I mean, probably insects, probably sea life, but green eyes, red eyes. So what if some of these beings live inside or underground, and they just want to be left alone and come out every so often?
Oh, definitely, and we address some of the stories that have been kicked around over the years, and of course you have like the Richard Shaver Chronicles, where as far back as the late 1930s and early 1940s, he was writing for it was a pulp science fiction magazine called Amazing Stories, and he first started sending letters to the editor talking about these ancient creatures that lived underground that were at one time human but were forced to go underground due to environmental conditions on the surface of the planet. Living underground, the species then, as he said, deteriorated, and he gave them the name Deros, for like detrimental robots. Robots not meaning a mechanical creature, but I think he just used that to kind of define, say, like a subspecies of humans at that point. But Shaver went and blamed, all of the miseries of mankind on the Dero, who had these technological wonders left over from their, antediluvian civilization that they were using to bedevil us. So you bring that forward into, say, the 20th and 21st century, and a lot of the things that Shaver was talking about, other people are now talking about. They've kind of wrapped it up within the UFO phenomena, but the same thing, that there's a possibility that at least some of the UFO phenomena may be coming from an underground civilization that has thousands, maybe 1 million years ago, went underground to get away from us. We're not exactly the most pleasant species, and if you have a cousin species that just didn't want to deal with this, they moved away. So, again, that's one of the of many stories that we have in this book.
I always mention the same thing, like a broken record. Underground and undersea, 80% of our ocean remains unmapped, unobserved, and unexplored. So what if we have the technology, or they had the technology, and you mentioned a keyword, antediluvian or pre-diluvian. What if we've had research in the past, and some of that technology exists, we just don't understand it? I mean, something happens now, deluge, cataclysm, nuclear war, what have you, and 100 years on the road, people with sticks and stones start unearthing stuff, an iPhone, a guitar, or something else. They wouldn't understand that technology.
Oh, yeah. And you were mentioning, Mel, different places where these mimics reside at. I mean, my uncle, Jose Causing, was a merchant marine, and when he did a stopover in India, one of the stories that he heard about was the crocata. And this is like a mythical type of dog wolf, and it would mimic human speech. And when people would hear this, when this crocata was mimicking human speech, it was sounding distress, like it needed help, and would at times actually say, "Hey, help me, I need help." and they would go over into that area, and they would be confronting this crazy dog wolf creature, and some of them claimed that they were actually attacked. So it was like trickery to get them over into a certain area, and some people even wind up missing. So what happened to them with the crocata, who knows? So it's kind of chilling, because a lot of these mimic type entities, they're trying to deceive you and hurt you for whatever reason.
There
I wonder how
are
many of. Sorry, I just wanted to add to what Paul said. I'm just wondering. You probably have heard of the work of David Paulides about 411.
Oh, yes.
I wonder how many of what you just said might be responsible for that. I mean, somebody just yells at you in the forest, "Hey, help me!" And you go inside, and all of a sudden, you're never to be seen again.
Absolutely. Yeah, because just like you had the Alaska Triangle, where people wind up missing, something like 16,000 people since 1978?
Explain that, Paul. I've never heard of the Alaskan Triangle.
Oh, yeah.
I heard of the Bermuda Triangle, but not the Alaskan.
People wind up missing, vanishing. There was even like 2 senators on this aircraft going through the Alaska Triangle, and their plane and the 2 senators vanished. Till this day, they have never been found, and they sent a whole army of airplanes out there looking for them. And where did that airplane go to? Could be like another dimension, and they vanished.
Like the MH370 Malaysian Airlines, that's still to be uncovered.
Right.
Oh, sorry, Tim, I kind of interjected there when you were saying something.
Well, I was going to say exactly what you ended up saying, Bill. I was going to bring up the whole missing 411 stories with an addition that I've had several people tell me of similar types of encounters while out in the woods, where they would hear voices, human voices, calling them to get off the path, come help me, things like that, and they didn't. And then afterwards, they wondered if they may have survived an ambush, by not responding. But you hear, and this is something that, once again, I mean, we're revealing these modern stories, but if you go back through history, you'll find encounters with these things that, if you would just change the date, people really wouldn't know the difference, because they're so similar still. And people used to attribute these tricks to the good people, the secret people in the woods, where they would hear voices, calling them from their houses to come into the woods. And again, if you responded, even if you said, "Who's there?" that would be enough that things could happen to you. And as well, there have been black-eyed kid encounters where a homeowner will hear somebody at their front door that sounds like somebody that they know. Open the door, come help me. And when they do, there's these black-eyed kids waiting and then asking to be let inside. So it's amazing how different yet how similar all of these stories here throughout history.
Do you think what you just said about the black-eyed kids? This is a fascinating topic, and I have to say it's probably one of the most popular ones. I don't know why, but people keep coming back to listen to interviews we've done about this very topic. Do you think there would be a relation between the black-eyed kids and the men in black?
Paul, do you want to take that first?
Absolutely. It could very well be. I mean, there's a lot of theories on what black-eyed kids are. They could be aliens, they could be vampires, because they even do the vampire thing where can I please come into your house and use your phone? They want to be invited in, just like a vampire. So demons, vampires, aliens, they could be numerous things. Could they be associated with the Men in Black? Very possible, very possible. If you're looking at the alien perspective of it. So, one of my cases was right here in Sacramento, was a case on the black-eyed kids. And this woman, she was being tormented by these two little thugs, I guess. They looked like they were teenagers. And they would knock on her door and say, can we please use your phone? We need to use your phone. She goes, no, you can't use my phone. And then she noticed that their eyes were completely black. And that just really kind of, she had to take a step back because she was frightened at what she's looking at. And the kids came back the next day, knocking on her door, wanting to use her phone. No, 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 you cannot use my phone. She just didn't trust them. They looked evil. And that's what she was telling me, that they actually, just looking at them, they just looked creepy to her. But one of the incidents that she had, which was really strange, and it could be in the realm that they could be aliens, because what they did was something almost magical. She took, after she encountered these kids again, she got sick of it. She waited till they left, and then she got in her car and she took off. And she was going to go do some errands, and she was like 10 miles down the road. And she looks over to her right, and by a tree, she sees those black-eyed kids. How did they get 10 miles down the road before her, standing by the tree and staring at her? They knew exactly her car, and they were looking right at her. Okay, finally, the black-eyed kids, they stopped terrorizing her. And she contacted me, but she just wanted me to bless her house and everything else in case there were like some kind of demons. What was really weird is after the black-eyed kids disappeared, the house next door was finally rented by this family. And their two boys looked like the black-eyed kids, except they didn't have the black eyes. They had normal eyes. But they looked exactly like the black-eyed kids that came knocking on her door. What would have happened if she had actually invited them in? And just thinking about it now just gives me chills right down my back, because what would have happened? It's uncanny that what she had to go through. But I blessed her house. Last time I talked to her, she hasn't had any visits from the black-eyed kids. They stopped tormenting her, but it's just so mysterious.
By the way, I used to live in Sacramento, and a few years ago I did a presentation with Anthony Sanchez and David Weatherly, speaking of the black-eyed kids. They used the kids say, "Just let us in. This won't take long." And this is the reason why I asked if there's any relationship between them and the Men in Black, is because you think of a gray alien, you see the black eyes, and then you wonder, could these be alien hybrids that are trying to, try to learn from humans, and that's why they say, "Let us in," so they can interact with us.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that the relationship between the black-eyed kids and the Men in Black probably comes down to that with both of these, we're dealing with something that is disguising itself to look human. Now, not all Men in Black cases are like this. There have been some where they obviously are humans. They could have been human UFO investigators from a group and were just trying to make themselves look mysterious, or there could have been actual, intelligence agencies involved with trying to get information about UFOs, especially in the early days. But there are so many of these cases that involve, and they're not all necessarily men in black. I think that there have been just as many reports of people dressed in somewhat normal-looking clothes coming knocking at your door for various reasons that are yet to be really explained. But one of the significant points with a lot of these cases, including the Black-Eyed Kids and Men in Black, the others, Mimics of Man, we refer to the Mimics a lot of times as the others because they're not us. But one of the major similarities is when people interact with